Islam Makhachev might just be the most dangerous grappler in MMA. Let's see why. We're going to break down what makes him so dangerous, from his versatile takedowns all the way to his deadly submissions. Islam has been doing grappling martial arts like Judo and wrestling since childhood, and looking at his career so far, we can see the results of both talent and hard work. Starting off, we have the crazy versatility in his takedowns. He really keeps his opponents guessing, perfectly displaying both judo and wrestling. Since his teenage years, Islam has been competing in Sambo, all the way to 2016 when he was already in the UFC. In Sambo, striking isn't scored, only the takedowns are, so Islam's game is heavily centered around taking his opponent down, mainly using judo throws. Judo is rarely used in MMA, but is truly a beautiful sport with abstract throws. Here, we see Islam executing an uchimata. This lands him in half guard. Next, Islam throws his opponent using harai goshi, a takedown in which you use the visor and wrist grip to rotate your opponent while also kicking the lead leg out. He executed this takedown a few times in his career. Another takedown he uses well is the inside trip. Having the opponent pushed against the cage makes this takedown easier to execute. Here we see Islam taking Arman down with a judo throw called sasai. He waits for Arman to throw a knee. Doing this, Arman puts all his weight on one leg, which Islam then sweeps out. He also holds on to Arman's hand, so he eliminates any chances of Arman basing out. While being incredible at judo throws, Islam also has insane skills in pure wrestling takedowns. He usually shoots when his opponent is near the cage, eliminating the chance for them to sprawl. Other southpaws usually shoot singles on the left leg of the opponent, as it is closer to them than the right leg. Islam, on the other hand, likes to target the right leg, with only 2 of his singles in the UFC being on the left leg. Here, we see Islam pressing Dustin towards the cage. Dustin reacts with a left uppercut, but Islam pulls back. Expecting a counter, Dustin rolls, but Islam shoots a double leg. Dustin manages to get one underhook, so Islam switches to a single. He then steps his right leg underneath Dustin and sweeps Dustin's leg out while pulling his other leg up at the same time. Watch how Islam makes Moicano lose balance. First, he feints a jab and shoots a double leg. Moicano manages to stay on his feet. Islam then switches to a single leg, but Moicano remains standing by bouncing on one leg. Islam then throws his left hand over Moicano's neck and uses it to push Moicano while pulling him with his right hand. This creates a steering motion and Moicano falls down. Islam usually goes for a single leg if his double leg fails. Let's see what happens when it succeeds. Hooker throws a low kick, but Islam uses this to time a double leg, taking him down. Against the cage, the main goal is to connect the hands around his opponent's legs. All he needs to do next is pull the legs back using the lock. He can also lift his opponent and use this for a more powerful takedown, but this drains much more energy. Look at this beautiful sequence of attacks by Islam. First, he trips Volkanovski. As Volk starts to stand up, Islam level changes. Volk uses the underhook to prevent the double leg, but Islam switches to a single. Volk then makes the mistake of punching Islam instead of defending the takedown. Islam uses this chance to switch to a double, finishing the takedown. Now we are going to look at some upper body takedowns. Having the body lock, all Islam has to do is step his leg in front of Dustin and twist him down. He also uses this takedown against Moises. When he has the rear body lock, Firstly, he'll try to pull his opponent down using his weight. It's best to use this when your opponent is leaning forwards. Here, we see Volk basing his head on the cage. This makes him much harder to take down, and his hands are free to break Islam's grip while doing this. Islam pulls Volk to one side, making him put all his weight on his right leg, which Islam then sweeps out. Next, we're going to look at what makes Islam's ground control so effective. The basic principle of control in MMA grappling is to limit your opponent's movement, while maintaining your own ability to advance or strike. It's a complex topic, so we'll break it down into two parts: cage control and control in the open. Cage control in MMA is all about turning the fence into a weapon. When you take your opponent down near the cage, the fence limits their movement, especially their ability to recover guard or explode back to their feet. Unlike open mat control, where space allows scrambles and transitions, cage control is built on pressure, pinning, and isolation. You trap the hips, ride the legs, and shut down the wall walk before it even starts. Fighters like Khabib and Makhachev have mastered this, turning the cage into a second opponent. I'd highlight 5 key principles that make Makhachev's cage control so effective. Use the cage to limit the movement, track the hips and legs, kill the post hand, maintain strong head position and shoulder pressure, control first then damage, and use low risk, high reward submissions. Watch how Islam pressures Oliveira's head into the fence. This shuts down submission threats and opens up clean ground and pound. By locking a triangle around Sarukian's legs, Islam completely controls the lower body while keeping both hands free for control or attacks. Here, Islam collects Dustin's post hand and feeds it into inside wrist control, disabling the base and letting him strike freely. Islam's shoulder pressure is so heavy, Dober is forced to tap without a submission even being locked in. Notice how Islam patiently advances to mount before unleashing a flurry of ground and pound. Always control first, damage second. Kimura, arm triangle, rear naked choke, Dars, Islam only hunts low risk, high reward submissions that don't cost him position. Control in the open. Unlike Khabib, who relied heavily on the cage, Islam often controls his opponents in the open, and in my opinion, he does it even better. While he may not apply the same pressure, he brings far more finishing threats and stays dangerous in every position. One place where this becomes especially clear is the half guard. From half guard, one of Islam's favorite attacks is the Kimura. He sets it up by cross-facing with one hand while striking with the other, forcing his opponent to react. Once his opponent starts defending, he pins his arm to the mat and slides his crossface arm over to lock in the Kimura grip. From here, he can finish the submission, transition to mount, or to a back take. Apart from his half guard work, back takes are another one of Islam's specialities. He transitions to the back with incredible speed and wastes no time locking in the body triangle. That wraps up the control section. There's a lot more we could break down, but we'll save that for another video. To wrap things up, we're going to take a look at Islam's finishing ability. With both of his last fights ending via Darce choke, it's safe to say that this is becoming one of his signature submissions. Let's break down how he sets it up. As soon as he secures the front headlock, he shoots his right arm deep under the neck and locks his own wrist. He immediately pinches his elbows tight to his body, then drops to his side while hooking his opponent's leg with his own. By engaging his lats and squeezing his elbows in, he forces Moicano to tap within seconds. Aside from the Darce, Islam also uses other high percentage submissions like the Kimura, rear naked choke, arm triangle, and armbar. Knowing all this, I think it's safe to say, Islam Makhachev is without a doubt the most dangerous grappler in MMA today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments which fighter I should cover next.